Hi and welcome to the next video blog from Composite Games. My name is Craig, I'm the designer at Composite Games, and again we just wanted to take some time to run through what we've been up to and what to expect in the next few months from ourselves, and also with an update to the games we've been developing and what's to come and what you can expect from seeing us at digi-con, which is a week on Saturday. So firstly, just before Christmas, we asked for people to let us know any suggestions about what they'd like to know about the dynamic role-playing system that we've been developing. So what we've done is we've put together a top 10 list of these questions, which we'll answer, and if any other questions come up, then just pop them in the comments below and we'll happily come back to you with any updates. So just start with that first. The first question we had is just what was the dynamic role-playing system? In a nutshell, the dynamic role-playing system is the in-house gaming system for our role-playing games. Its first game will actually be the Chronicles of Alundra, though there are subsequent works in process to follow those, including the Unseen World urban horror roleplay game that we're developing as well. The second question we're given was how does the game work? The fundamentals behind the dynamic role-playing system is the game will itself be skill-based. Players will create characters from a selection as well as some roles that they make at the beginning of the game. From that point onwards, all of their skills work via a dice pool system, where the player rolls a number of dice dependent on their experience with that particular skill, and adds onto that a bonus which consists of their physical abilities as well as other perks and benefits that the character may have, in order to match against a difficulty target set by the storyteller. What makes this particular game different to other games, role-playing systems out in the market? We wanted to make the game pretty much flexible to however the gamers want to play it. It's a blueprint for pretty much any type of fantasy or science fiction based game. You just need to tweak it as you see fit. The game as it stands allows you to pretty much build any character that you want, be it someone who's a magic wielding sorcerer to a swords master, or even a combination of the two. In addition to this, we've also developed a special alignment-based system to allow people to customise their characters and grow the characters through the story as they see fit, and not by rules dictated or that are open to interpretation. So, next question was, does the game itself use an alignment system? As I mentioned, we do have an alignment system, but we don't use the standard 9-point system which you might find in Dungeons and Dragons or other systems. Basically, the fundamentals behind that is that the player will have the options of making decisions. As they play the game, they'll make decisions, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the worse. Depending on what they do, how they interact with the people around them, there will be bonuses or penalties applied to their reputation. The reputation will ultimately affect the people that they interact with. Some characters will interact will be well receiving to people with a negative score, whereas the innocent people and people in the military and the watchers and things like this will obviously look lowly on people with a bad reputation. This allows people to start off game as playing the redemptive hero, the person with the shadowy past, as they try to rebuild their character, as well as allowing players to play the paladin on the slippery slope as he falls from grace, or anything in the middle. The magic system I'm going to use is one of our own construction. It's currently known as the Trinity Magic System. It allows players to create 3 different types of caster, which again are open to the player's interpretation. For all, they could be a sorcerer, or a mage, or a priest. These spells and the rules allow players to customise that, as well as creating their own spells on the fly, or even adjusting spells they know, so the effects can be very different to the original spell. The risk of which, obviously, the more you adjust the spell, the more likely it is to backfire. So obviously the higher the level the caster, the more they can actually play with the spell. And how does combat work? The combat system again is designed to be fast flowing. We're looking at this from a cinematic point of view. We want the players to be able to emulate their heroes or even the villains that they've seen on the screen or read in the books. Where as players progress through their skills, they can unlock new abilities which allow them to do those flourishes that they see in the film, be it parrying 2 blows with 1 sword, or even any other multitude of tasks. Ultimately, the more experience a player has, the more they can do. But just like with everything, the amount of actions a player has is always limited. As the combat is split between 6-second bouts. So the better the character is, the more they'll be able to do within that 6 seconds. Which is why when you watch your films, you'll see the hero fending off 3 or 4 villains or bad guys, which is fine. But obviously when the characters start out, they'll have a harder time doing that. How does level progression work? Level progression will basically work in line with everything else, where the character takes a skill. As they progress through the game and generate experience, they can actually use the experience to unlock the next tier of the skill. Each skill consists of 10 tiers, with different skills and abilities unlocking at various points across the tier. How many skills are there? Currently, there is around 35 to 40 basic skills, depending on what the character's choices are. Looking at roughly between 350 and 400 abilities and skills that players can have a selection of as they progress through their characters. Can I create my own skills? Yes, you can create your own skills. You can also adjust how the skills work. The skills that will be presented in the core rules are the default of the skill. The players can choose to delay learning these skills to actually affect the difficulty levels, so make the skills easier to perform, or they can learn them earlier, which will basically mean that the difficulties are higher. So if you want to learn how to behead that person with 1 blow, then you can have that skill. You can have it earlier than normal, but the potential for you actually to perform it successfully will be a lot lower to start with. And finally, how do players make their characters unique? Well, as I mentioned earlier on, there is the alignment system, which is all based upon the character's reputation. That will have a big impact depending on the race the characters pick. That is then enforced by our perk and quirk system, where players can effectively build perks that help establish the character's background as well as their starting core abilities. In addition to that, if they want to take a quirk, which is something that is negatively unique about the characters, such as they might be deaf, they might be blind, they might be a pariah, they might be exiled, then these will obviously affect the character's starting abilities. In return for that, the character will receive an additional perk in its place. This allows the options of players to develop things such as the blind swordsman, so they could take the quirk to obviously be blind, followed by the perk to basically have blind sensors, which allows them to fight even though they are blind with a sword, or a bow, or pretty much whatever they wanted to do, really. As you're aware, obviously we will be taking the fast track unit for Chronicles of 100 to the digi-con convention, which will be, as I said, a week on Saturday. So players will have the option of coming along and having a look. We'll have a demo campaign sorted out for people to play over the weekend. Obviously the characters are going to be basic, but the principle is just to show people the basic rules and obviously get back feedback on what people feel, and we have to take that away before we actually put it out for general download. So in addition to obviously those launch releases, we will have the first demo decks of Synergy Withers. These are pretty much in their alpha stage, so we're just after demonstrating the rules. This will basically be a player versus player card based game where players will get to summon monsters, cast spells and use artifacts to obviously beat the other player. We'll be interested in people coming along and having a go with these and just giving their feedback on that as well as we progress towards letting people have it free for them to play when we move to the beta stage. As also mentioned, we are now working on the basics of the Unseen World, which will be our urban horror, fantasy-based role-playing system. This will allow players to play people within a world very similar to our own, except as they play, things will become apparent that we don't know the true world that we live in. This is heavily influenced upon several stories that have been written by one of the writers at Composite Games. That in turn we are looking to produce into a web series to help just bring the series and the games to life. We should, all going well, have the completed trailer to show you at the weekend as well. And finally, we are looking at finishing off the Tales of Alundra anthology as well, which will be a series of between 5 and 7 stories. We're currently waiting for the editor to come back with the final draft. This will allow people to read about some of the major characters and powers behind the setting of Alundra, and find out just how they came to be who they are and where they came from. Well, that's it for now. Just want to wish you all a happy new year and thank you for following us. This obviously is just a roundup for you. As we have more things to show you, we will be posting them on the Composite Games Facebook page, as well as our Twitter link. As always, if you do have any other questions for us or want anything to say, then just drop us a line. We're more than happy to hear what you've got to say. And then, as always, we're looking for feedback on what we do. So, have a good one, and I'll speak to you soon.